The Book of Forgotten Souls, Part 3, The Others Who Remember. A book that steals memories. A past that changes reality. And a woman who must decide if she will keep turning the pages, or burn them all. Sarah thought she was just a librarian. But now, she is something else. She is part of the story. She has already lost a piece of her past. But she isn't the only one. And soon, she will meet others who have suffered the same fate. A name she shouldn't remember. Sarah stood frozen in front of the portrait. Eleanor Whitmore. 1892. Head librarian. But that couldn't be possible. This library wasn't even built in 1892. And yet, there she was. Staring back at Sarah with lifeless, painted eyes. Sarah's pulse raced. The book had changed something. Reality had shifted. Had it done this before? Had other people been erased? She turned away, gripping the book tightly. She needed answers. And she knew exactly where to look. The secret room. Sarah ran to the old archives, a section of the library that hadn't been touched in years. Dust filled the air as she pushed open the heavy wooden doors. Rows of old, forgotten books lined the shelves. She searched for any mention of Eleanor Whitmore. Newspapers. Old records. Anything. Her hands trembled as she flipped through the yellowed pages of an old Hollowbrook Gazette from 1892. And then she found it. A small article, almost hidden among other reports. Local librarian Eleanor Whitmore reported missing. Last seen entering Hollowbrook Library late at night. No sign of forced entry. Case remains unsolved. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. She hadn't just died. She had disappeared. Just like Sarah almost had. Just like others might have. The book wasn't just trapping souls. It was taking people away. The others. Suddenly. A voice. You shouldn't be looking for her. Sarah spun around, her heart pounding. A man stood in the doorway. Tall. Worn. Eyes heavy with secrets. Who are you? She asked, stepping back. He didn't answer at first. He just looked at the book in her hands. You found it, didn't you? Sarah hesitated. Did he mean the book? I don't understand. The man sighed. That makes two of us. And then, from the shadows, more figures appeared. 3 of them. A woman, no older than 30, clutching an old locket. A teenager, eyes wide with fear. An old man, his hands shaking. Sarah's stomach twisted. They all looked lost. The man stepped closer. We all found the book once. Their stories. The woman spoke first. I lost my sister. Her voice was barely a whisper. She was in the book. I tried to save her. But when I came back, I couldn't remember what she looked like. Sarah's throat tightened. The boy spoke next. I only read one page. He was shaking. It was about a boy in 1920. When I came back, I wasn't sure if I was him or me. And then the old man. His voice cracked with pain. I used to have a family. His eyes glistened. But when I returned, no one knew me. No one even knew I had existed. Sarah felt like the air had been sucked out of her lungs. She looked at the book in her hands. How many lives had it stolen? The choice. The man, who seemed to be their leader, crossed his arms. We've all tried to destroy it. Sarah's eyes widened. And the man's expression was grim. It always comes back. A long silence filled the room. The book was cursed. Unbreakable. Sarah swallowed hard. Then how do we stop it? The man studied her. You don't. He stepped closer. You finish the story. Sarah's hands clenched around the book. The story. Eleanor's story. She shook her head. I can't keep reading. Every time I do, I lose a memory. The man nodded. Yes. And if you stop, the book will find someone else. Sarah's breath caught. She had two choices. Walk away, and let someone else suffer. Or keep reading, and lose herself forever. To be continued. Sarah now knew the truth. She was not the first to hold the book. And she would not be the last. The only way to break the cycle was to finish the story. But how many memories would she lose before she reached the end? And if she did, would she even remember who she was? Will Sarah risk everything to uncover the final truth? Or will she close the book before it's too late? Find out in part 4 of the Book of Forgotten Souls. Bell, like and subscribe for part 4. Comment below. Would you keep reading the book, or walk away forever? End of part 3.